Hello record nerds of the internet. Today we are comparing the original Corrosion of Conformity Animosity to the recent Metal Blade reissue of Corrosion of Conformity Animosity. Let's talk about this. Let's go.
Six in the morning.
So we should probably talk about who Corrosion of Conformity is and who they were, because who they were is not necessarily who they are now. They're still sort of around, but if you heard them now, they would have no resemblance to this band whatsoever. At some point, they became sort of like a Black Sabbath meets Leonard Skinner sort of band. I don't know. I stopped listening to them after their album Blind came out. Their first album was this, Eye for an Eye, which has an iconic punk rock cover. I would have first become aware of Corrosion of Conformity when I was a young skater, probably like 1987. I would have seen that cover in Thrasher, and it would have fascinated me because I was really into art, and this just stands out. I loved the font, I loved the logo, I loved this cover. The music on this is, the vocals are pretty bad. It's very raw. So if you're into that, that might be your thing. But I love the cover, don't love the music on this so much. The songs are good, just the recording is poor. Now, what I prefer from Corrosion of Conformity is this album, well, EP. This is 6 songs from that record, better recorded with Mike singing, and it's much better. Much better. I don't know in the chronology of Corrosion of Conformity when this was actually recorded.
That settles it. You are an idiot.
Wow, that is nuts.
I think it was recorded before this. This didn't come out until 1989. And this came out on Caroline. Eye for an Eye originally came out on, what was it? No Core? Was that what it was called? I don't know. I would say someone will tell me in the comments, but no one would ever tell me in the comments because no one's going to watch this video because no one gives a crap about Corrosion of Conformity. So I think the album of delineation between the two eras of Corrosion of Conformity, the hardcore punk phase, that became a hardcore punk thrash phase, that then turned into, I don't know, heavy metal, deep fried in southern rock or something, is this album. This was their last good album, in my estimation. Technocracy. This was also reissued by Metal Blade, which I picked it up because I didn't already own this. This one's pretty good. I like it. Probably the best produced of their early albums. But let's talk about what brought us here, Animosity. This came out on Death Records back in 1985. And if you want to know how did this end up on Metal Blade if it started off on Death Records, well, Death was a subsidiary of Metal Blade, and they were a little bit different than Metal Blade. They seemed to focus more on like the hardcore punk crossover sort of bands, like COC, like Dr. No, like Beyond Possession, DRI, and Cryptic Slaughter. The second Goo Goo Dolls album was on Death Records. So yeah, that was a label that wasn't quite metal, but it was metalish. And so they put that out. And it has an iconic cover, speaking of art, up from Pushead, as you can see here. Here you can't really see it because they kind of cropped this a little weird. They kind of expanded the picture and then cropped it. Not sure why they did that. Now, if you're wondering, is this one more clear than this because this is in the shrink wrap still? The answer is no. This is really bad looking versus this. This is clear. You can see everything. You can make out a lot more detail. The stippling in the face is easily discernible, where here it just kind of becomes a big ball of mush. I don't understand. This is one of the things that drive me crazy about reissues, is the just lack of care they give to the covers of these things. And it doesn't matter if it's Corrosion and Conformity or the new De La Soul records that just came back out. They just don't seem to care about what the covers look like. They do these really low-res scans that look pixelated and garbage. So really, if you're interested in what the cover looks like, these reissues are probably not the way to go. And I do. Like, for this cover is iconic to me. Again, Pushead was an artist that really specialized in hardcore punk skateboard art back in the 80s, early 90s, and then he became sort of a bigger Metallica sort of thing. I have a video about Pushead Records, and I'll put that over here at the end, so look for that. So I want this to be as nice as humanly possible, and this just does not cut it. Let's look at the back, shall we? And so the same thing follows on the back. I mean, this isn't as black as this. Nothing is as sharp. It's all out of focus. They've removed the Death logo and replaced it with nothing. They've kind of moved a lot of stuff around. Just not great. The pictures are blurry compared to on the original. That also carries to the insert. Now this insert is beat up. Like someone really loved the crap out of this thing. And if you look at the insert that comes in the reissue, like look at just the detail missing on this compared to that. Now this is on a nice heavy cardstock of paper, but that doesn't make up for the lack of detail. So that's a thing. Now this was mastered for vinyl by someone named Patrick W. Engel. I don't know who that guy is. Someone might know. I do not. And I have no idea who mastered the original. So as you can see, the Death label here replaced with a very less attractive looking Metal Blade label. Is this what the early Metal Blade labels looked like? Because that's pretty ugly. I do not like that. I do like that these come in a plastic lined sleeve. This one is on this sort of orangey brown, sort of gasoline colored vinyl. So my favorite song on this album is probably the song Intervention. I think Metallica covered the song Prayer. I might be wrong. If someone watching this, one of the three people that are going to watch this, know for a fact if Metallica covered that song, then let me know in the comments. So normally I say, who cares about the cover? The cover is the least important thing. On this, it's semi-important to me. But let's talk about the sound, because that's really where it's important. Now, upon first listening to these two back-to-back, and then back-to-back again, and then back-to-back again, it was immediately obvious that there was a difference, but I couldn't really put my finger on what the difference was. It's kind of weird. The reissue seems to have like a cleaner bass sound and cleaner drums. Like you can kind of, they pop out of the soundstage a little bit more than on this. However, this reissue sounds less aggressive somehow, less like in your face and less large sounding than this one. This one, even though the bass isn't as pronounced and punchy, or like if I had to choose between, I would pick that one to listen to, because it's almost like they turned the guitars down a little bit on this reissue. And I'm not sure if that's because this is kind of a dense sounding record. And I think maybe they were trying to bring out the guitars a little bit more and separate the instruments a little bit more. I don't know, I prefer that. Maybe that's just because I know that's the way it should sound. But it sounds like they just turned the guitars down a little bit and were able to round out the bass and the drums. Like the bass drum kicks harder on this, like it kind of, you feel a little bit more than on that. I wouldn't be surprised if you played this for multiple people and multiple people didn't have a difference of opinion as to which one they preferred the sound of. I prefer the sound of that, and it's not because I'm biased towards the original and the cover, which I like a lot more. If this one sounded better, I would sell that because I'd rather have it sound good. But it just so happens that the one that I like the cover on more sounds better as well. So yay for me. I don't think the sound's bad by any stretch of the imagination. I've definitely heard record reissues that sound bad, like the Beastie Boys box set. That one sounds bad. Come on. This one just sounds different in a way that I don't like. So to the guy who mastered this for vinyl, whoever that guy's name was, let's see, Patrick Engel, you did a decent job. I'm not mad at you. When it listed Technocracy, this reissue, this sounded pretty good. Also, Master for Vinyl by Patrick Engel. But this one has sort of a cleaner sound to begin with than Animosity. Animosity is a much dirtier sort of sounding record. So, there you have it. Which would I suggest you buy? I would buy that. Well, I'd buy this one if you can find it. I don't know how many of these are still floating around, but if you don't have it, grab that. You won't be disappointed in the sound. I think you'll be more disappointed in the cover. There you go. I don't know why I keep making these videos, because no one watches these videos. I find doing these super fun. I love listening to them back to back. I really think that it's my whatever level of autism that I probably suffer from really enjoys picking out the nits between the two sounds of records, and it really, I like doing it. I don't remember who it was, but someone's like, why would anyone want to do that? I'm like, I don't know why I want to do it, but I like doing it. So I think I'm going to continue to do it as much as I can. Although I don't know how many records I have reissues of and the originals. But watch the video here. That's going to be the Pusshead video, and then over here I'll put like another video, and then down there I'll put another video, and maybe you watch those, and maybe you like, and maybe you subscribe, or maybe you don't. Do your own thing. But if you like COC, let me know. Which is your favorite era? All of their albums sound so different. Like if you were to just blindly play Eye for an Eye, this, Technocracy, and then Blind for someone, I guarantee that they would have no idea it was the same band, because there really isn't a COC sound other than sort of like a dirty sort of southern sound. Like it sounds southern even on this somehow, but that doesn't carry, like I don't think that carries over. Like it doesn't carry over to Blind that much. Or even Technocracy. I don't know. Am I crazy? Do Corrosion and Conformity albums all sound similar? Or am I crazy to think they all sound super different? Let me know. Let me know if there's any other reissues that I should take a look at and compare to the originals. Because if I have them, I will try that. Because I like doing it. Have a good day.